There's a pattern hidden in history that has wiped out every global superpower that ignored it. Not once, not twice, but 3 times in the last 500 years. And here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. In 2025, the United States is following that exact same pattern, stage by stage, decision by decision, almost like we're replaying a script that has never had a happy ending. In 1590, Spain was the richest empire on Earth. In 1914, Britain ruled the world. In 1991, the Soviet Union stood as one of only 2 superpowers. All 3 collapsed. Not slowly, not gracefully, but completely. And every single time, the collapse followed the same sequence. What's terrifying isn't that America might be heading toward this pattern. It's that we're already deep inside it. This is the story of how empires actually die, why they always believe they're the exception, and why history says we're running out of time. What imperial collapse really looks like. When people imagine the fall of a superpower, they picture invasions, tanks rolling through capitals, flags being torn down. That's not how it starts. Imperial collapse begins quietly, almost invisibly, with economic exhaustion. The empire stretches itself beyond what it can sustain. Too many military commitments, too many promises, too much debt. At first, everything still looks normal. The currency still works. The military still wins battles. The government still speaks with confidence. But underneath, the foundation is cracking. Resources get misallocated. Productive capacity shrinks. Innovation slows. The most capable people leave or mentally check out. Then comes acceleration. Allies quietly hedge their bets. Trade partners seek alternatives. Enemies probe weaknesses. And eventually, the very advantages that once made the empire powerful turn into liabilities. The currency that everyone once demanded starts flooding back home. The military footprint becomes impossible to maintain. Promises once backed by strength become empty words. This isn't theory. This is exactly what happened to Spain, Britain, and the Soviet Union. And they all collapsed because they made the same mistakes we're making now. Empire 1. Spain. The original blueprint. Spain wasn't just powerful. Spain invented global empire. After 1492, they conquered the Americas, seized control of the richest gold and silver mines ever discovered, and by the mid-1500s, Spanish ships were flooding Europe with precious metals. By 1550, 200 tons of silver per year. By 1600, over 400 tons annually. Spain controlled Europe's money supply. The Spanish real became the global reserve currency. And that's where the pattern always begins, when a country controls the world's money and starts believing that makes them untouchable. Stage 1. Military overextension. King Philip II ruled the richest empire in history and spent like it. Spain fought wars everywhere at the same time, against the Ottoman Empire, against France and Italy, against Protestant rebels in the Netherlands, against England, across the Americas, across Asia. By 1580, Spain had military commitments on 4 continents. Half of all government revenue went to war, and it still wasn't enough. Stage 2. Currency debasement taxes couldn't cover the costs, so Spain did what failing empires always do. They debased the currency. Silver coins were quietly mixed with copper, then more copper, then mostly copper. The face value stayed the same. The real value collapsed. Inflation exploded. Merchants stopped trusting Spanish money. Stage 3. Debt spiral. Spain borrowed endlessly from Italian bankers, German bankers, anyone willing to lend. And then the inevitable happened. Bankruptcy in 1557, again in 1560, again in 1575, again in 1596. 4 bankruptcies in 40 years. Each time, reforms were promised. Each time, spending resumed. Stage 4. Loss of productive capacity. This is the part people miss. Spain's flood of gold destroyed its economy. Why build when you can import? Why innovate when you can buy? Manufacturing collapsed. Agriculture stagnated. Work was considered beneath the nobility. Spain became a middleman. Wealth flowed through the country but never stayed. When silver production declined, the entire system imploded. Stage 5. Social decay crimes surged. Beggars filled the streets. Talent fled to rising nations like England and the Netherlands. By 1700, Spain was still large on paper, but economically hollow. The world's first superpower became irrelevant, and it never recovered. Empire 2. Britain. The sun never set. Fast forward 300 years. Britain ruled 25% of the planet. The pound sterling was the global reserve currency. London was the financial center of the world. Just like Spain, Britain believed it would last forever. Stage 1. Military overextension. By 1900, Britain had to defend an empire on 6 continents. Then came World War I. Instead of staying neutral, Britain chose to fight, and bankrupted itself doing so. $40 billion spent. Massive borrowing from the United States. The creditor became the debtor. Stage 2. Currency breakdown. After the war, Britain tried to pretend nothing had changed. They returned to the gold standard at the old rate, but the pound was overvalued. Exports collapsed. Unemployment surged. The economy choked. In 1931, Britain abandoned gold. The reserve currency blinked. Stage 3, debt explosion. Then came World War II. More borrowing, more destruction. By 1945, Britain owed more than its entire GDP. The empire was finished. Stage 4, loss of empire. India was gone in 1947. Africa followed. The Middle East followed. Asia followed. By 1970, the British Empire existed only in memory. Stage 5, currency collapse. The pound kept falling. The world moved on. Britain remained, but as a former power. Empire 3, the Soviet Union, the fastest collapse. The USSR didn't fall over centuries. It fell in 900 days. Stage 1, military overextension. The Soviet Union spent up to 20% of GDP on the military. Global competition with America on a much weaker economy. Afghanistan, Cuba, Vietnam, Africa, the Middle East, unsustainable. Stage 2, economic stagnation. Growth stopped in the 1970s. Factories produced junk. Farms failed. Innovation died. A country with vast farmland had to import grain. Stage 3, currency failure. The ruble wasn't trusted, even by Soviets. Dollars and gold became the real money. When oil prices collapsed, the system broke. Stage 4, loss of empire. 1989, Eastern Europe walked away. The Berlin Wall fell. The satellites vanished. Stage 5, collapse. December 26, 1991. The Soviet Union ceased to exist. No invasion, no war, just math. The United States, same pattern, same stages. Now comes the uncomfortable part. America, Stage 1, military overextension, 750 plus bases, troops in 150 countries, multiple global commitments, $850 billion a year, and still stretched thin. Stage 2, currency debasement. Since 1971, the dollar is pure fiat. Since 2020, trillions printed, different method, same result. Stage 3, debt spiral. $36 trillion in debt, interest nearing $1 trillion annually, borrowing to pay interest. That's the definition of the trap. Stage 4, hollowed out production. We consume more than we produce. We import what we used to make. We depend on supply chains we don't control. Stage 5, social decay. Institutional trust collapsing. Political paralysis, falling birth rates, rising addiction, rising homelessness. 5 stages complete. What comes next? Stage 6 is loss of reserve currency status, and the early cracks are already visible. Gold accumulation, BRICS alternatives, trade bypassing the dollar. Stage 7 is collapse, not gradual, sudden. Every empire thinks it's different. None ever are. Maybe America reforms. Maybe we reverse course. Maybe this time really is different. But history doesn't bet on hope. It bets on patterns. And the pattern says we're running out of time. If you want to understand what comes next before it happens, subscribe, because the answers aren't in the future. They're written in the past.